The rifle wasn't just a piece of metal. It was a gift from a father to his son. And today, that choice, an object handed down within a family, has become the centerpiece of one of the most shocking criminal cases in recent memory. Tyler Robinson, the young man accused of assassinating Charlie Kirk, allegedly carried into that moment not only anger and ideology, but also the weight of something his own father had given him. The rifle, prosecutors say, matched the very weapon his father recognized. Imagine being that father, sitting in a courtroom, realizing the gun you placed in your son's hands was the same one now tied to the killing of a national figure. How should a father feel? Is it guilt? Is it betrayal? Or is it something darker? Denial, silence, maybe even acceptance that the warning signs were there and ignored. Because let's be honest, every parent sees things about their child that the outside world doesn't. A shift in tone, a burst of anger, a troubling comment that lingers in your mind. Did Tyler's father notice those things and push them aside? Or did he believe, like so many parents do, that his son would grow out of it? And here's the question that no one seems comfortable asking. What if he hadn't turned his son in? Think about that. The police released photos, desperate for answers. It wasn't investigators who cracked the case. It was the parents who looked at those images and said, "That's our son." If they had stayed silent, how long would Tyler Robinson have remained hidden? How many more days would headlines read, "Suspect at large"? How much more chaos could he have created? Is his father a hero for stepping forward? Or does that decision only highlight how many failures led up to this point? Police say the rifle was wrapped in a towel, abandoned near the crime scene. DNA matched Robinson. His own father recognized it. But why was it even possible for that recognition to happen? Why does a father hand his son a bolt-action rifle and never fully consider what it might one day be used for? Was this tradition? Was this politics? Or was it negligence masked as bonding? Let's widen the lens. Tyler Robinson was raised in a conservative family, in a conservative community. His parents gave him values, structure, rules. Yet by his mother's own admission, he had shifted, becoming more political, more outspoken, more sympathetic to marginalized groups, even entering into a relationship that defied his family's worldview. How does that transformation happen under the roof of a conservative home? Did his father see it as rebellion? Did he push back? Did they argue about politics, identity, purpose? Or did silence once again win the day? And what about the police? When the rifle was finally recovered, when DNA was matched, when notes were discovered saying, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk," investigators had to ask, how many people saw this coming? How many times did Tyler give off signals, online and in person, that could have triggered intervention? Do police feel frustration at the family for not locking away the rifle, for letting it sit in a closet waiting to be misused? Or do they feel relief that, at least at the end, the father stepped up? What do you think? Should the father be blamed or praised? These questions are not comfortable, and they are not supposed to be, because in this case, the family dynamic is inseparable from the crime itself. A father gives a gift, a son accepts it. A household sees the weapon, knows it exists, and assumes control will never be lost. Yet the control slipped, and once it slipped, there was no turning back. And here's where you need to stay with us, because this isn't just about a single rifle or one family. It's about all of us. How many homes across America right now hold weapons that were given casually, almost thoughtlessly, under the belief that tradition and trust are enough? How many families are ignoring the late-night posts, the strange comments, the quiet rage building under their own roofs? And so, we come back to the father. The man who admitted he recognized the gun. The man who picked up the phone, told investigators, and ultimately helped bring his own son into custody. Is that redemption? Or is that confession? Is he the man who stopped further tragedy, or the man who made it possible in the first place? And ask yourself this. If your son had done the same, would you turn him in? Would you recognize the rifle you gave him, knowing that it was now forever tied to blood and history? Or would you hide it, protect him, and live with the secret. This is where the case forces us to look not only at the accused, but at his family. A conservative father, a shifting son, a rifle passed down, a silence too long maintained, and a nation now left asking, who failed Tyler Robinson first? The father, the community, the police, or all of us together? Stay with us, because the answers only get more complicated and the questions more uncomfortable. And if you haven't already, subscribe now, because this is just the beginning of a story that refuses to let anyone walk away without asking, what if? The revelation didn't come from police first. It didn't come from prosecutors. It came from a father who admitted, in words that echo across this case, that he recognized the very rifle his son allegedly used to take a life. Think about that for a moment. Imagine being a parent, seeing an image of a weapon linked to a national tragedy, and realizing it was the same one you had given to your own child. That is not just evidence, that is guilt. That is confession, and that is where the story begins. Tyler Robinson, 22 years old, is accused of killing Charlie Kirk in Utah on September 10, 2025. Prosecutors say he used a bolt-action rifle, wrapped in a towel, abandoned near the crime scene, that carried his DNA on the trigger. His father looked at the pictures and told investigators he believed it was the same rifle he once gave his son. The rifle wasn't stolen. It wasn't bought off the streets. It was handed down in trust, in tradition, in family bonding. But that bond is now evidence. So here's the first uncomfortable question. How does a father justify giving a rifle to a son who was already showing signs of unrest? Did he not see the online activity, the posts, the outbursts? Or did he see them and tell himself, it's just a phase? Parents often believe silence keeps the peace, but silence can be deadly. Did Tyler's father choose silence over action? And if so, how much responsibility does he carry now? And then comes the twist, because while his father admitted recognizing the gun, he also did something few parents could imagine. He turned his own son in. The police released photos. His parents saw those photos. His father knew. His mother knew. They contacted authorities, and Tyler Robinson surrendered. What if they hadn't? What if the father, instead of stepping forward, had chosen denial? Could Tyler have disappeared? Could there have been more victims? Would law enforcement ever have caught him without his family's intervention? That's the paradox. On one hand, the father gave him the rifle. On the other, the father gave him up. Which action defines him more? Which one should history remember? But let's dig deeper, because this story is more than a weapon. Court records reveal that investigators found a note under Robinson's keyboard. It read, quote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." That note, chilling and deliberate, raises another haunting question. How could he write that inside the same home where his parents lived? Did they ever walk past his door at night, sensing something was wrong, yet never daring to ask? What were the dinner table conversations like in that house? Did politics ever come up? Did ideology turn into arguments? Or was there an unspoken rule to never bring it up at all? And then there's his mother. She told investigators that Tyler had become more political recently, more outspoken about gay and trans rights. He was in a relationship with a roommate who was reportedly transgender. That's a dramatic shift inside a conservative home. How did his parents react? Did his father clash with him? Did his mother try to mediate? Did Tyler feel supported, or did he feel trapped between two worlds, one at home and one online, until something snapped? The family dynamic is not a footnote in this story. It's central, because every action Tyler took, from his posts to his note, from carrying the rifle onto a campus to finally surrendering, was shaped by the foundation of his upbringing. Conservative values, a gifted rifle, silence in the face of change, and then a father's confession. Now let's talk about the bullets. Investigators found casings with engravings, messages carved into the very ammunition. These weren't random shots. They were symbolic, calculated, personal. Who does that? Who takes the time to etch words into bullets before loading a rifle? And here's the harder question. Did anyone in his family know he was doing this? Did they ever see his obsession with the weapon, the writing, the rituals? Or was it all hidden in plain sight, ignored like everything else? And what about the police? Do they feel frustration at the family for not securing the rifle, for letting it sit in a closet waiting to be misused? Or do they feel grateful that the father finally came forward, breaking the silence when it mattered most? Law enforcement builds cases from evidence, but in this case, family testimony was the breakthrough. Does that make the father an ally or an accomplice that arrived too late? And here's the most provocative thought. What if the father had destroyed the rifle before Tyler ever touched it?